Hello. I'm trying to figure out this live streaming. Can't tell if I'm doing it right or not. I think I am. If you're watching this, which it doesn't look like anybody's watching anything right now, I'm doing a surprise live stream. Come ask me your questions. This is Barack Lesner of Barack Lesner Hoops. Ask your questions there, and I'm going to answer them for you in the chat. This is my second live stream. You can see me? Alright. Well, thank you for the confirmation. Who has some questions for me? Y'all want me to do some live streams? Make this worth my while and give me some good questions. And I'll just sit here awkwardly. Very awkwardly. I just need a couple of people. Please? Please don't make me beg. I'm not too proud to beg. What's good? All right, we got somebody else. All right, let's see what else we get. This is weird. I feel like I'm on the spot. Thank you guys for coming. I appreciate you letting me know that you're here and that this is working. I got some time to kill, so I guess I can wait. I just want to answer your questions. Can you hear me all right? Can somebody confirm you can hear me all right? What do I think of Daniel House Jr. for last? What kind of league is it? Is it a categories or a points league? Nice. Good looking out, Jason. Welcome to my chat. Hold on, it's saying my video resolution is bad. I don't know what that's about. Look, I'm messing this up already. Hopefully it fixes itself. Well, I really like Daniel House Jr. I keep telling you guys that I really like Daniel House Jr. Preseason hasn't been great for him, but really he's a dynamic player that can get you steals, he can get you blocks, and he can get you three-pointers. The field goal percentage isn't something that's going to be a strength of his, but something to keep in mind is Giannis just signed with my Bucks for another 5 years, so yeah. Anyways, nothing good happens to the Bucks, so let me have this. This opens up James Harden to be traded because a lot of teams that were holding on to their cap space, well, Giannis, the big prize next season, he's completely off the table. So we may see some more activity in that market for James Harden for somebody who feels like they missed out on the Giannis sweepstakes. If James Harden gets traded out of Houston, I really like the upside for Daniel House Jr. Even with him in town, I still like the upside for Daniel House Jr. with a last pick. Give it a try. Something to keep in mind is if you screw up your last few picks, you turn them into streamer spots because chances are you're going to find some really good waiver wire guys anyways, especially if you're watching my nightly notables, which I would love to know your feedback if you checked out my nightly notables if you like that. So, which player should I target in the points league with these settings? 3-pointers made, 3-point assists, -4. So alright, so steals is 2 and blocks is 3. Well, immediately that lets me know that you need to target my favorite kind of players, and those are the ones that get you steals and blocks. Just high-level overview of what you're showing me right there. Let's see what else. So threes made are worth 1.5, but you only lose 0.5 for an attempt. So my favorite, unicorns. You need to target the unicorns. So I already see Robert Covington really being really valuable in that format, because even if he misses them, he makes a lot of three-pointers. He gets you a lot of steals. He gets you a lot of blocks. Miles Turner, somebody else I would consider. Brook Lopez with his threes and blocks. The guys I preach to you in almost every draft that I do, sounds like they'd be good in that setting. Jeremy Grant, OG Anunoby, perhaps somebody like Pascal Siakam comes to mind. Brandon Ingram comes to mind as well. So I was thinking about trading DeJounte Murray before the season starts. The preseason has given me concerns, but I didn't want to read too much into it. Thoughts? I still believe in the guy, and you got to hold on to your studs. He's a stud. I've drafted him a few times already, and you got to hold on to him, because what's going to happen is he's going to play himself back into form on a team that really at some point they're going to let go of DeMar DeRozan. They're going to let go of LaMarcus Aldridge, and they're going to give him the keys to that franchise. I'm pretty sure that he got paid. So he's a long-term piece, and once he starts getting that usage, he's going to produce, and you're going to regret letting him go. It's too early to move on from somebody as good as DeJounte Murray. Don't do it. All right, I was thinking about... Oh, I just read that one. My bad. We're doing it live. I just looked at the projections, and I guess people like D'Lo and Murray type of players don't get much points. Yeah, because if you look, both guys you mentioned don't get you steals or blocks. And when steals are worth 2 points and blocks are worth 3 points, their strengths, let's see, what are their strengths? 1.5 assists. So he has to get 2 assists to equal a block. So really in that league, it looks like a guy that gets you 3 blocks per game is equivalent, based to what I'm seeing there, to 6 assists per game. So just loading up on those players would really help you in that format. And I tend to avoid guys that don't get me a lot of steals and blocks in general, though I do like Jamal Murray in category specifically, I guess. Should we be scared for Harden? It's hard to say. He's making it pretty clear he doesn't want to be in Houston. So I'm a little scared as to what he's going to do. Is he going to go out there and play to his very best? I don't know. If he gets traded to the Miami Heat, for example, is his usage going to go down playing with Jimmy Butler? My concern would be if he gets traded to the Heat and you pick somebody like Bam, is Bam really going to have the ball in his hands as much? And if Bam's assists go down, does his value go down? Does Jimmy Butler's value go down? If he goes to Philadelphia, I like his ability to produce for that team. I think if he gets traded for Ben Simmons, that could be a great situation for him. Keep an eye on the Bucks. He says he wants to go to the Bucks. If he gets traded maybe for Chris Middleton and Dante DiVincenzo, I think him and Giannis would be a killer tandem. So draft him if you're in the top 5, because his upside is tremendous. And even if he does get traded, Harden is just a top producer. And at worst, his scoring goes down, but his field goal percentage goes up. Or he's able to play more defense. Or he focuses on passing more. There's just a lot of variables with such a dynamic player like James Harden that you can't be too scared. Unless it's a situation where to force a trade, he just decides not to play and the team decides to sit him, like happened with Anthony Davis a few years ago. This actually reminds me a little bit of what happened with Anthony Davis 2 years back when he was with the Pelicans. People were uncertain what was going to happen, and it did end up costing you if you drafted him. So it's something to keep in mind. All right, let's see. You believe in Zion's health this season? And I'm going to follow your scarcity approach and load up on the big man. You definitely need to do that. Big facts. Thanks for everything you do. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you for taking the time to come watch me talk with a green screen behind me. It's a little awkward, but I'll get used to it. And I plan to do this a lot more often. This will be really fun to do, especially once the season starts and I'm doing my research, because my key here is doing all these videos, this is my research. So I end up great during the season because I spend so much hours on fantasy basketball. And then I can create better content for you because I'm giving you informed decisions. So it's a loop. Do you think Popovich is going to play Murray and White over 30 minutes per game? I hope so, but it's very hard to say with Pop. He didn't like playing them together a whole lot last year. Bryn Forbes is gone, though. There's Lonnie Walker as well, who could get minutes. I wish I could answer that question. I would just keep watching the preseason games to try to get a feel for how the preseason plays out. With my nightly notables, I'll definitely keep an eye on that to see how he's producing and what minutes they're getting. All right, hey, Barack, and this is from, I can't tell if that's Al or AI, so let's assume it's AI. Hey, Barack, new sub here and loving your content. What are your thoughts on Westbrook and the 12-team head-to-head, given the reports that he will rest on back-to-back? What pick would be too high or too low? Let me be honest with you, man. I wasn't drafting Westbrook before I found out he wasn't playing back-to-backs. Now that I found out he isn't playing back-to-backs, I'm definitely, most definitely not drafting Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook hurts your field goal percentage. He hurts your free throw percentage. He hurts your turnovers to a stupid degree. And I just tend to avoid him, in all honesty. If you want, go watch my How Not to Draft video where I drafted Russell Westbrook and LeBron James, and that ended up being the worst team as far as the projections. I don't like players, despite his points, rebounds, and assists, I don't like players that hurt you in the categories that hurt you as much as they help you in the ones they help you. I prefer a guy who helps me across the board without hurting me a whole lot. So I just tend to avoid him. But I'll be fair and admit I've been somewhat of a Russell Westbrook hater in the past and probably in the present, so I may be a biased source. But honestly, if he was a great fantasy player, I would draft him more. And year after year, I tend to avoid him. And in most, I'm trying to think if I've drafted him. Maybe once or twice I've drafted him and I've had somewhat successful teams, but he's really not a guy I'm high on. Nero Nemesis. I'm big on Embiid this season. Embiid is amazing when he's healthy. Al Horford being out of town, I like that a lot for him. I think Tobias Harris at the 4 and Joel Embiid works really well. Hopefully Ben Simmons and Embiid can fit a little better than they have in the past. If James Harden gets traded to the Philadelphia, I really like Embiid. I think that'll do a lot for Embiid's game. Where's your baby Yoda, bro? LOL. Oh, I see. You're talking about these. Yeah, they got my back, you know. Ever since I got 1,000 subscribers, there's just a lot of haters out gunning for your boy. So I gotta have my security. Patrick Williams, bust or beast. Come on, man. That's it. Those are the only options. Either a bust or a beast. There's a whole middle ground there. He could be aight. No, I like Patrick Williams. I said in one of my videos, I think he has a legit chance at taking down Lauri Markkanen and getting that starting spot. I think Lauri Markkanen's better as their 6th man, to be completely honest with you. I have a feeling that's the realization the coach is going to make. It's still too early to tell, but I'm not drafting Lauri Markkanen for that reason. Respect. Thanks for the help. Thank you for the question. Jamie Tiago. I had a draft after watching hours of your footage. Let's say I ended up drafting Joseph Nurkic and having the best projected team in the league with your approach in mind. Barack the GOAT. Man, that means a whole lot. But you know what? The real MVP is you guys. Because you were listening to me. Hey, you took a chance on me. You could have questioned, why should I listen to this dork? What do you know? And some people do that. What do you know? But you took a chance on me, and I'm glad that it's working out for you, because I'm sure if it hadn't worked out, I would have heard it, and I haven't heard it all that much. I hear a lot more often, they worked for me, than I hear, you screwed my season over. I lost $300 listening to your garbage. That hasn't happened yet. Fingers crossed it doesn't happen. How many games do you see Al Horford playing this season? I am not excited for Al Horford this season. I honestly don't know. I think at some point the Thunder are going to try to trade him to a contender. He's not going to be happy there. They're clearly trying to tank. If you look at that roster, there's no way they're trying to win. he doesn't have, how many years could he possibly have left to play at a high level? We kind of saw a drop off with him last year. If he gets traded to a different team, this answer may change. But right now, I really worry about him playing towards the end of the season. I think they're going to rest him a lot. All right, guys. I'm a little gassy right now, so if I burp in the middle of talking, I apologize. Just being honest with y'all. And what type of builds should Tatum be a target? Never saw him as much more than an efficient scorer. Well, Tatum actually had a really well-rounded season last year. He's somebody that I was sleeping on a bit, and I had a few comments where people were asking why I didn't draft Tatum, and I did go and look back at his production. His production was really strong last season, and in the bubble, it was really, really good. So you have to keep in mind, what is he? He like turned 18 a week or two ago. Just kidding. That was for Derek Michael. He knows who he is. But seriously, he's already a 24, 25 point per game scorer. I like to bank on the upside of young players that are that good because every year is just more experience. Just like you watch my channel now, go watch a video of me from 3 years ago versus a video now. You see the confidence has changed. You see the delivery has changed. That comes with experience. That comes through doing. And him being so young, Gordon Hayward is out. Kemba Walker's dealing with an injury. I really like Jason Tatum's potential because he helps you across the board. He doesn't really hurt you in any particular areas. Just a very complete player. And really complete players really help you a lot in category leagues. All right, let's see. Thank you for that question. How do I pronounce that? Jocks. Thank you for the question, Jocks. J Fang, what do you think about Derek White and OG Anunoby for Point League? Depends on your settings. That's something in my points videos. It really depends on what the points are. So if they really value steals and blocks highly, OG Anunoby and Derek White would both help you, but it depends on where you get them. On ESPN leagues, OG Anunoby seems to go pretty late. So if you could grab him pretty late, he wouldn't hurt you. Really, it comes down to your points format. If you want to share them in the comments, I can try to give you a high-level overview based on what I'm seeing. I'm not a calculator. I can do my best for you, though. Ja Morant or Fred VanVleet? Great question. I had to go with Fred VanVleet. I really love his steals numbers, and I love the number of three-pointers that he hits. I love the assists that he gets you. Ja Morant's a great player. Super freaking stud. Had an amazing game last night. But given the option, I just like the veteran savvy of Fred VanVleet, proven championship player. Though I wouldn't be surprised if Ja Morant ends up having the better season. Yo, Barack, hey, and if anybody criticizes my pronunciation of any of these players' names, I'm kicking you out of my stream. No, I'm just kidding. Just send me a DM and tell me the right way to say it, but don't make me look bad. Yo, Barack Lesner, thanks for the live stream. Nice jersey. I think Denver has a real shot at winning it all this year. I don't think you're wrong. They're my favorite team in the West. Wouldn't call them my team, but they're my favorite team in the West because I love Nikola Jokic. I think they have a really strong shot at being the 1 or 2 seed, and I think they can win it all. Honestly, Jokic is an amazing player. Jamal Murray is improving. You add Michael Porter Jr. to that mix. I really like the bench depth that they have. Monte Morris is a beast coming off the bench. I think they're going to be real solid. Won't OKC be trading Horford a ton to raise his trade value? Potentially, but that wasn't a question he asked. He asked how many games is he going to play? So I guess they could play him a lot to raise his trade value initially, but it depends where he ends up. If he ends up in a situation like he had in Philadelphia where he's traded to a contender where he's competing with minutes with somebody like Joel Embiid, we kind of saw that last year. And I don't think he was the best fantasy player. I wasn't very excited by him. I saw him get traded multiple times, and I drafted him in one of my leagues, and I traded him as soon as I could. So I'm not very high on him, especially I'm just not big on guys that are past their 30s because you're really banking on downside, and the decline tends to be pretty steep. Once you start declining pretty sharply season after season, and I think last year we saw that decline. Do you only talk fantasy or do you talk straight hoops as well? Andy, I talk straight hoops as well. I love basketball. If I didn't love basketball to the degree I do, I don't think I'd be able to do this. My goal is once I grow this channel enough, I can actually venture off and do other types of videos. And I hope you guys are open to that. Not just fantasy basketball videos, but fantasy basketball really helps me find die-hard basketball fans, because only die-hard basketball fans play fantasy basketball. And that's why I want watching my content. So hopefully I can grow this channel enough where I can then venture off and do other type of contents and have other basketball discussions. I would definitely love doing that. Dino Burn, and thank you for that question, Andy. I really appreciate it. Andy Williams, do you, oh, that was you. My bad, Andy. Dino Bernardino, would you pair Westbrook? Who would you pair Westbrook with in a points league? Thank you. My go-to in these point leagues, because they seem to be the guys that fit in. Again, it depends on your categories and what the points are. But I like Andre Drummond as somebody that I like. Hassan Whiteside is somebody that I like. Giannis Antetokounmpo, somebody that I like. Ben Simmons is somebody that I like. You want to go for those guys that have the ability to get you a lot of points, rebounds, assists. Honestly, whatever points you get the most for. So if your league, like the gentleman presented earlier, his league had like 3 points per steals and blocks. You want to get a lot of guys that get you a lot of steals and blocks. And if they help you in the other areas as well, they're going to be a very well-rounded player. So it really comes down to that. But those guys typically tend to fit in well with Westbrook. All right, let's see. Do you think Harden will stay in Houston? I really don't think so. He doesn't want to be there. The owner's cheap. They already traded Russell Westbrook. I think the tea leaves, you know, you can read the tea leaves. Maybe he doesn't get traded till next offseason, but I think his time in Houston is coming to a close really soon. All right, let me scroll up. I don't want to miss anything. You guys took the time to come here and watch this, so I want to answer as many questions as possible. Do you guys like this? Do you guys like me doing live streams? Should I do this more often? It's a lot easier. A whole lot less editing. All right, let's see. I can't wait for the season to start, man. I am a die-hard b-ball fan, too. I love to hear that. Basketball is my absolute favorite sport. Some of my favorite memories as a child was the Chicago Bulls. I lived in New York City when I was a kid. Always hated the New York Knicks. Loved Michael Jordan because he was the closest thing to like a real-life superhero. It was like when you watched a game and there was drama and excitement, my 3-year-old brain would watch. And to see Michael Jordan just take over in the way in which he took over was like watching a superhero. You just knew they were going to come through. And that made me a fan for life. My dad also bought me a lot of jerseys when I was a kid. So to this day, I still love wearing basketball jerseys, which my 9-year-old criticizes me for shamelessly and says I should stop only wearing jerseys. But what does he know? He's only 9. Thanks for the effort, Barack. Assuming the top 9 is clear in line with Yahoo ADP, leaving Booker, Tatum for the 12th pick, what would be your pairings for 10 to 15, 11 to 14, 12 to 13? All right. Let me make sure I'm understanding the question. Leaving Booker, Tatum for the 12th pick, what would you be your pairings for 10 to 15? I don't know that I'm understanding that question. Maybe you need to break it down to me a little more. I can be a little dumb sometimes, so break that question down a little to me more so it's a little clearer, please, and I will do my best to answer. I'll be waiting for those videos, man. I'm with you on this. Hell yeah, I love to hear it. Thank you so much for taking the time on helping us, sir. Anytime, Dino, I will continue to do that as long as you continue watching my content. If you stop watching my content, you're dead to me. Great channel, bro. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Rock Lee. I plan to. Thank you guys for supporting it, because if I didn't have the views, the motivation would not be here. Yes, please do more live streams when you can. Thank you. I definitely will. Andy Williams, who are your favorite up-and-coming players in the league, fantasy and actual hoops? Man, the league is in such good hands right now. The talent in the NBA is probably the most talented NBA, I think. And maybe people will disagree, and I'm a prisoner of the moment, but this crop of talent right now, you have guys like Trae Young who are criticized, and he just put up James Harden numbers in his second season. You got Luka Doncic putting up prime Larry Bird numbers in his second season. You still got James Harden. You still got Anthony Davis. You got Giannis. It's definitely the most balanced league I've seen in a very long time. You got Steph Curry. You got Kevin Durant. You got Zion Williamson down, showing just that level of potential. It seems like the cream of the crop is growing. Now, that's not to insult any past players. There's been a lot of eras where there was just amazing, amazing superstar players. So maybe I am being a prisoner of the moment. But some of my favorite up-and-coming players are, I love Brandon Ingram. I love Donovan Mitchell. Somebody on my team that's a young guy that I'm looking forward to seeing how he develops is Dante DiVincenzo. Zach LaVine, I'm a fan of. Jamal Murray, I'm a huge fan of. Let me think, who else? There's just so many to name. Michael Bridges, you see me draft him all the time because I'm a huge fan of his game. Devin Booker's a beast. Let me think, who else am I missing? Ben Simmons. Jared Allen, he's been good to me in fantasy, so I tend to root for him. If I think of any others, I'll let you know. So Booker 10, Tatum 11, and the 12th pick. And the 12th pick. 12th pick is not clear for me. So 12th pick, I like Jimmy Butler. I feel like Jimmy Butler's a guy that tends to be underrated. He doesn't hit a whole lot of threes, but he really helps you almost in every other category. Around that range, you can also grab, let me see, I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. I don't have it in front of me. Bradley Beal tends to be around that area. Kawhi Leonard's always around that area. But you have to deal with the sitting back-to-backs. That's going to happen again. Paul George as well has been a great fantasy player. People have really soured on him because of his playoff performance. But we can't forget he's been a beast. Excuse me, guys. It's not COVID, I promise. Love the streams. Definitely do more. Yeah, man, keep up the good work, all right? Making sure I'm not missing anything. I'm getting to all your questions. Let me think of some more other players you can target there. Joel Embiid, Devin Booker. But you said if he's gone. Joel Embiid is somebody if you want just a dynamic big man. Bradley Beal, I think, is highly underrated. And I don't think Russell Westbrook is going to impact him as much as people think. And we've now heard he's sitting back-to-backs, which means those games, Bradley Beal should really go off unless they plan on resting him as well. I don't know if that's what they're planning to do. I don't think they're talented enough to pull off sitting both their starters back-to-back. Steph, I've been following you since last year, and you're one of the real ones out here. Thanks, Barack. I try to be. I try to bring a little bit of swagger to the fantasy basketball content creation game. I've heard some other content creators bash the word fam, but you know what, fam? I like using the word fam. So I'm going to use the word fam. Fam. Thank you for the comment. That means a lot. Here's a fantasy-related question. Who do you like the most out of early to mid-round forwards? Porzingis, Aldridge, DeRozan, Michael Porter Jr. Porzingis, I'm avoiding him. He just keeps having knee issues. He had knee issues during the bubble. He had knee issues the season before that, even though there was a huge break in between. He tore his ACL. Now he may not be back till January. I don't want to deal with that headache. When he's healthy, he gets great production because he's a unicorn. He's one of the top unicorns. But if with his health issues, especially if Dallas does well, they're probably going to rest him for the playoffs, and that tends to be during your fantasy playoffs. And do you really want to deal with that? So not Porzingis for me. DeRozan and Aldridge kind of have the same deal, playing with the San Antonio Spurs. I guess it depends because they could be competing for a playoff spot. And I don't know if you guys know this, but they've changed the format in how you get to the playoffs to really dissuade those 9th, 10th type seeds. They can still compete for a playoff spot. So the Spurs might hold on and keep playing Aldridge and DeRozan. So I would say DeRozan, Michael Porter Jr., I like his upside, but he jumped up significantly in the rankings. So Aldridge is probably a slightly safer bet than Michael Porter Jr., but Michael Porter Jr. has more upside. I hope that makes sense. Who is Abedayo? Joke, bro. Keep up the fantastic job and love your content. That's my boy, so I'm not going to kick him out of the stream. I always mix that up, and I know it because I say it every video. It looks, the B and the D are similar. My bad. I'm here to give you fantasy basketball advice. If you want to learn how to pronounce these players' names, I'm probably not the best source. I'm embarrassed, I know. Keep calling me out, though, because now I say, here, let me tell you one thing. This really confuses me. I got criticized because I used to say Nikola Jokic, right? And they're like, ha, 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 Jokic. It's Jokic. So I'm like, cool. Joseph Nurkic. It must be Joseph Nurkic. And then I got made fun of, ha ha, Joseph Nurkic. So European names just confuse me. And I should do a better job of pronouncing them correctly. But I do it better than Charles Barkley, and he's an NBA great, so. Thoughts on Westbrook this year at 11. Hold on, I missed some here. I don't want to miss any. Let me scroll up a bit. Great content, Barack. Wondering, who would you pick, Siakam or Nurkic in the third round of a 12-team cat league? Siakam was only a top 40 player last year. I think I've had that option, and I ended up going with Nurkic. But keep in mind, even though Siakam only ended a top 40 player, Siakam is probably the first option on the Toronto Raptors. On the Blazers, Nurkic is probably the third at best. He's competing with Damian Lillard, and he's competing with CJ McCollum for touches. His game isn't based on scoring. It's based on the rebounding and the steals and blocks he can get you. But just don't discount Siakam completely, because he's still a young player with a lot of upside, and he tends to improve season after season. So with sufficient improvement, we might see him be a top 20 guy. But I don't think you could go wrong with either one. It depends on what your build is. If you value field goal percentage more and blocks, you're going to get more of those with Nurkic. If you value more scoring, and I think the higher offensive upside, then you go with Siakam. Would you take Doncic, Giannis, or AD? Well, it depends. Are we talking a points format, or are we talking in categories? Because in categories, I'm taking, I have to say Anthony Davis, but the coach, Frank Vogel, has already openly said that they'll be resting a lot. He said they'll be resting the guys that went on that deep playoff run. So that scares me a little bit, but just he's the best fantasy basketball player. It's almost worth the risk because he's such a good, complete player. Giannis, I actually just did a punt free throw build video and it crashed on me. So maybe I'll later do the video with the results. That's probably what I'll have to do. And I grabbed him first overall to celebrate getting Giannis to sign that extension. And I built a pretty strong team around them, but I did punt free throw percentage. So if you are willing to punt free throw and that's the build you want to do, go with Giannis. Luka Doncic, he's not going to do as well as those two, I think. But it comes down to, are you a huge fan of Luka Doncic? If he's your guy, then pick him, because you won't be able to pick him, and then you'll be mad when he's dropping a 50-point triple-double and you tell yourself, I should have picked him. That's my best advice to you. Sometimes it makes sense to grab the guy that your heart tells you want, even if it doesn't make the most logical sense. At the end of the day, this is a passion hobby, and if you're good enough, you could build around Luka Doncic. You could build a championship team around him. It'll just maybe be a little bit harder. I got the strategy on getting bigs from you, and I won first place on my first league last season. Field goal, rebounds, blocks, turnovers are my strength. Oh, I like that. I like the flex. I like the flex. Yes, it's my strategy that works for me. I'm telling you, I've been playing since 2007, and you just learn. I used to do the punt free throw build. First, it was I don't care. This guy sucks at free throws. I don't care. I like him. but then my teams would be full of holes. Then I said I'm going to punt free throws, and I would load up on DeAndre Jordan, Drummond, all the top rebounding guys with terrible free throw percentage. But what happened is the secret went out, and people started targeting the same players because everybody wanted to do a punt free throw. That was like the default punt. I remember being punt free throw. So all of a sudden, you end up picking really crappy free throw guys because they took all the guys you wanted. So I moved away from that, and I came to the realization people just punt turnovers. They don't care about turnovers. So let me protect my turnovers while still being relatively strong in the other categories, and it's made me just a whole lot stronger. Hey guys, I know I'm going to be here a little bit longer. Let's see if we could do an hour. But I want you to do me a favor. I'm trying to build a community on Facebook. I know all of you are not on Facebook, and that's fine. But if you are on Facebook, can you go to Barack Lesner Fantasy Hoops? Go there right now, and I want you to join my group. I want you to join the discussion. I'm going to post a lot of my content there before I even post it here. So you get a sneak peek at that stuff, and you get just more direct access to me. I'm trying to build the best fantasy basketball community on Facebook because, to be quite honest, the ones that are there are kind of lame. And I think the energy that you guys have, the intellect that you guys have, you like my strategy. That's why you watch my videos, and I want other people to promote that strategy because it works. So if you can go there, I'm actually right now still looking for people for my $25 buy-in league, okay? It's a $25 league. You come in, you pay the dues. I will send you an invite. I'm only going to have 12 people right now, but if there's interest, I'm okay pushing it to maybe 14 teams. If you're interested in competing with me, everything's administered through LeagueSafe, so you don't have to worry about I'm not going to play around with your money. I know it's hard out here. That's why I'm keeping it at $25 to make it accessible to everyone. So if you could do that for me, I'd appreciate it. Now, enough self-promotion. Let's go with some more questions. After what player is a KD pick a good gamble? There's another good pick, by the way, at 13. You could take a chance on KD. After what players is KD pick a good gamble? I'd say you're probably not going to get him any later than like 21. So honestly, if you're in the second round, that's your time to get him. I would probably prefer to grab... It's hard to say because if they're going to sit him back-to-backs, that's going to impact his value. And while he did look good that first game, an Achilles injury is a serious injury. And it's one of those things where the more he plays, he may get more fatigued. And the more fatigued, the more they have to rest him. I personally am not drafting him. I would like to see him perform strongly this season. And then next year, definitely going to get on that bandwagon. But I would probably, if you can manage to get him in the late teens, that's probably the ideal spot for him, right before somebody like Donovan Mitchell, that crop of players. Rock League. Do you play rotisserie leagues? I may try one out. I haven't yet, though. All right, so rotisserie, speaking of Achilles, is kind of my Achilles heel in fantasy basketball. It just throws me off. There's like... You can only play a roster spot a certain number of games, and once they've met that certain number of games, you don't get any more production out of them. You can't punt any category too strongly because it throws off the mix. In general, I've played rotisserie leagues, and I play category leagues, and I enjoy the category leagues so much more that rotisserie just feels like homework, while categories doesn't feel like homework. It's a passion project. Rotisserie just feels like homework, trying to figure out, well, let me not play this guy because I'm running out of eligible games for the rest of the season. I am a fantasy basketball expert when it comes to categories, to a lesser degree points leagues, not in rotisserie. There are better channels to give you rotisserie advice. I'm probably not the best. I don't even want to give you the advice because I don't want to give you bad advice. I just don't want to do that. Not my strength. If somebody wants to coach me and maybe make me better and sell me on rotisserie, I'm open to that. Maybe I just haven't had a good Barack Lesner hoops of rotisserie to get me straight. Thoughts on Westbrook this year at 11? I think I answered that already. I definitely would not pick him at 11 in the points league. Definitely not. I'd rather pick somebody like Andre Drummond or Ben Simmons. Like I told you, they're going to set Westbrook in back-to-backs. And in a points league, games played is huge. A lot more than in a categories league. In a categories league, you can get away with your guy not playing every single game. But in a points league, your studs missing games can really, really hurt you. So I wouldn't recommend it. This is really fun. I need to do this more often. You know what? We're going to do this more often, guys. Thank you for doing this experiment with me. All right. Let's see. Which one would you go with? 6th pick. 6th pick, Nikola Jokic. I think he's somebody that you can get there. I've seen James Harden fall to the 6th pick. I think I saw Anthony Davis fall to the 6th pick as well. Let's see, who else? Damian Lillard's a decent option at 6. But honestly, Nikola Jokic is likely who I would pick. Smash that like button, y'all. My boy Rock Lee is right. Smash that like button. We got 13 of them so far. Love it. There's 31 of y'all watching, so I know you haven't clicked like. I'm good enough at math to know 31 minus 13 means there's some of y'all that haven't hit like. Oh, look at that. I got 3 likes and then somebody left. Somebody, that's petty. You chose to leave rather than give me a like. Well, I hope you come back. All right, so, hey, man, which side do you think won in this trade? 9-cat head-to-head. Simmons and Ibaka for Sabonis Lonzo. 9-cat head-to-head. Well, Simmons has a higher upside. That's a pretty good trade, honestly. I think that's a pretty even trade based on what I'm seeing there. I don't know that I can call a winner. The Sabonis Lonzo side does skew a little longer. I mean, a little, not longer, younger. They skew a little younger. So you have upside there as opposed to Ibaka. You kind of know what you're going to get, and you could experience some regression. But I think it's a really even trade, honestly. That's a good trade. Alicant says, OG, Michael Bridges, Covington, or Kelly Oubre, 6th pick. Does that mean round 6? Because you're definitely not picking them 6 overall. I take Covington, Michael Bridges, Kelly Oubre, OG Anu. No, hold on. Covington, Kelly Oubre, Michael Bridges, and OG Anunoby in that order. Only because based on the rankings, based on what I'm seeing, you can get Kelly Oubre and still have a really legit shot at Michael Bridges. But if you grab Michael Bridges, you probably won't be able to get Kelly Oubre. Thoughts on Boucher? Boucher, he's coming off the bench. I think if you want to take a flyer with him with like your 12th pick, with your last pick in the draft, then I don't think he's the worst, honestly. I liked it a lot more when I thought he had a good shot at the starting role, but it does look like Aaron Baines is going to be the starter. But if he can carve out a 6-man role, Pascal Siakam used to be the 6th man on that team, and look at him now. So if he gets some minutes and he produces, his value could go up fast. But I think right now he's somebody you could leave on the waiver wire, and chances are he'll still be on the waiver wire when the season starts. Steve, great content. I always want to call you Brock Lesnar UFC, LOL. Funny story. If you want to know where I came up with this name, it's real simple. I was actually watching the WWE, and I remember Paul Heyman coming out and doing his whole intro he does for Barack Lesnar, and he comes out and he goes, oh, look, I got props. He goes, Barack Lesnar. And I remember thinking to myself, he just said Barack Lesnar. And then I thought, wow, that's a hilarious name, Barack Lesnar. But then it struck me because Barack Obama, me being a man of color, Barack Obama was a hero in that he was the first president that looked like me. He lifted that glass ceiling, and I don't want to get too political. But the point is, when I was a kid, I was told there would never be a president that looks like me, and Obama changed that. So to me, he kind of covers the intellectual side that I want to have. But then, you know, the Barack Lesnar side of things, he's just an animal, a beast. He's like, you try me, I'm going to mess you up. So it felt like a good combination. I had no intentions of using it as a brand. I started it by changing my Facebook name to that because I didn't want my employers digging into my business. And people take Facebook way too seriously, and it was my way of being like, fuck, stop myself. I don't want to use bad words. Forget Facebook. Forget Facebook is what I said. But I started the channel, kept the name, and here we go. Hopefully I don't get sued. Fingers crossed, because his name's not Barack, so. Your thoughts on Oladipo? Worth rostering in a 10-team 9-cat league? In a 10-team, the pool is so shallow. I guess depends on where he drops. If he drops to like 100, I would consider picking him up there. Any earlier than that, nah. I think I even prefer someone like Marcus Smart over him. The range where I would consider picking him is that 100 range where you're picking from guys like Evan Fournier, that caliber of player. But I'm not very excited for him. Which one would you go with, 5th or 6th pick? Okay, so I guess he's saying 5th or 6th round pick. OG Anunoby, Michael Bridges, Covington, or Kelly Oubre. I would go with Robert Covington. Robert Covington, in my opinion, is the most proven of all of those. Alex, and I know that's your dad using your account because he told me. But shout out to your son, Alex. I'm going to tell him to make you give him his account back. Because now he's getting all these weird fantasy basketball videos when all he wants is his Roblox videos. I need your opinion about the possible rotation in Hornets. I'm planning to take someone from Devontae Graham, Terry Rozier, or LaMelo. Who do you think is the best possible option? I think of all of those players, Devontae Graham has the highest upside to produce. It looks like he's going to be the starting point guard. LaMelo can play the 2 or he can play the 1, but I still think he's probably going to be coming off of the bench the majority of the season. And he really surprised me with his passing. He made some like jaw-dropping passes his first preseason game, even though he didn't score. The rebounding was really nice, but I think there's going to be some efficiency issues with him. So I would probably go Devontae Graham, Terry Rozier, LaMelo, just in that order. I think Devontae Graham's probably going to be your best bet, in my opinion. Should you load up on the position you take early? I'm not sure what that question means. Can you clarify that for me, Javon? Should you load up on the position you take early? My advice is always, in a points format, I've learned that bigs and big men are not as valuable. In category, centers are very valuable. In a points format, you want to target the heavy hitter, shooting guard, small forward caliber players because they generate the most points. We're talking your James Hardens, your Damian Lillards. Those caliber of players, those forwards drop off tremendously towards the latter part of the draft. There tend to be decent big men in points leagues later on in the draft. But I flip that in categories. In categories, I normally try to have at least 3 point guard players, hopefully with also shooting guard eligibility. And then on top of that, I try to have at least 3 centers before pick 100. And hopefully ones that have power forward center eligibility as well. 31 concurrent viewers. This is so freaking dope. I love this. I will be doing this all the time. All the time. Let me get some more likes, man. I see ya. I know you're hearing me right now. Just a few more. For the algorithm. So we can get more friends. Hey, Barack. Hold on, guys. I'm trying to catch up. Hey, Barack. What do you think about the Atlanta Hawks this year from a fantasy perspective? With all their additions and the Capella Collins front court, I'm not sure what to make of them. I've heard it. I think the fear that Collins is going to be impacted by Capella is seriously overblown. So let's think to last year. LeBron James, Anthony Davis team up. We heard it's going to impact Anthony Davis's value because they're two forwards. And I know LeBron's not a center, but did it end up happening? No. Anthony Davis was still Anthony Davis. What does John Collins do well in fantasy basketball? He can hit three-pointers. He can block shots. He can score. He can get rebounds. That's what he does. I don't see what Clint Capella is going to do to change that. Maybe his rebounds drop off some, but my guess is he's going to play more from the perimeter just for spacing purposes. At the same time, think of all the passers and ball handlers that the Atlanta Hawks has now. Excuse me. So that means you have guys that can find him open. He's super athletic. He's a guy that is still going to get you rebounds, and he's still going to hit his free throws. And he's the second option on that team. At worst, he's the second option. So I think he's going to be fine. Trae Young is going to be fine. It's the people outside of that I worry a little bit. Kevin Werder, Bogdan Bogdanovic. Where are they going to slot in? What roles are they going to have? Clint Capella is going to get his 10 to 12 points off putbacks mostly. He's going to get you 9 to 10 rebounds. He's going to get you some blocks. I still think he has some value. He used to go in the top 20, 25, 30. Now you can get him around pick 50, 55. So we're already pricing in that downside for him. I think the fear for John Collins, and I've seen some experts say they're going to be bust, but I could put some money on it that John Collins is going to have a great fantasy season. All right, what is the next question? Would a Ja Morant be a good second-round pick in a category league? He wouldn't be a bad one. When you're picking him that early, you're limiting his upside. So you have to remember, if you pick a guy, right, let's say you pick him with the second-round pick, but he produces at a fourth-round level, then you kind of lost value. That's the way that you have to think about it because he underperformed where you picked him. It's like if you buy a mortgage and it's worth $150,000, but then it drops in value and it's only worth $130,000, you're underwater. So you want to limit the amount of players that you're underwater on. But if you manage to do, and here's the key, I don't know if I've covered this, but you can make up. Did my stream stop? It's back. You can make up for some bad picks early on by really killing your final picks. Because that's your chance with these sleepers to pick a guy now with your 13th pick. Let's say that's producing at a 7th round level. Now you've just made profit on that player. So that's like buying a mortgage at $150,000 and in the next year it goes up to $250,000. You want to load up on guys towards the end with upside for that very reason. That's why my last few picks, I tend to go with younger guys that I think are going to outproduce where they're going. Because if you grab 3 or 4 of those guys late, you can grab Ja Morant in the second round, and even if he produces at a 4th round level, you're still in the profit. That's the way to think of it, in my opinion. Should I sign Bagley off waivers? I have an extra spot because Jaron Jackson Jr. is on the injury. I guess if you want to bank on his upside, but Rashawn Holmes is there, Hassan Whiteside is there, and when he does play, I feel like he plays a week or two and then gets injured. So, personally speaking, I wouldn't do it. But if you feel that you personally believe that he's going to be good, then I don't think there's anything wrong with you picking him up. I personally probably wouldn't, but you got to use your own head sometimes. Sometimes you have to ignore the noise. You ignore me, and if you think I think this guy's better than Barack Lesnar thinks, pick him up and let me know and be like, you were wrong about him. And I'll accept that. All right, so all those asking 3 questions, y'all better give Barack a follow. He's right, y'all know. No, I'm just playing. Yeah, that's all the questions you want. My laptop's almost about to die. So I'm going to keep going. Give me more likes, though, and I'm going to keep going. We're almost even. We almost have as many likes as concurrent viewers. This is so freaking cool. I love this. Sorry, dude. 6 round. Yeah, bro. I thought so. You're not gonna pick. You're not gonna pick freaking Kelly Oubre with your 6th pick. That'd be really, really ballsy. Rusty Shackelford, points league. Would you do Lillard, Bam, Ingram for Tatum, Book, Sabonis? Lillard, Bam, Ingram for Tatum, Book, Sabonis. Nah, I don't think I'm gonna do that. Nah, I'm not gonna do that. None of the guys you're trading for are really blocks and steals guys. And I really like my blocks and steals guys. And with Bam and Ingram, you have that. They both can get you assists. They both can get you steals. They both can get you blocks. Ingram and Lillard are comparable scorers to what you're going to get from Tatum and Book. And Bam, in my opinion, is just better than Sabonis. So I think I would stick with Lillard, Bam, and Ingram. Thanks for the answer. Also, what are your go-to punts this year? Been practicing a lot with punt assist and punt blocks. I do not like to punt blocks. I love blocks. I love steals and I love blocks. I just love them. I'm a bias. I have a bias for them. I like to punt assist. And I recommend you go watch my How Not to Draft video because even though that team was putrid, they ended up #1 in assist. To me, that was very telling that a lot of the assist guys, oh, look at that. We got more likes than concurrent viewers. I love y'all. See, now we're in the profit with likes. We're in the profit with likes, like we were discussing. Practicing a lot with punt assists and punt blocks. All right, so yeah, I've been doing punt assists. Then to a lesser degree, I punt threes. Because the thing with threes is, if you want to be really good at steals and blocks, you're probably going to have to sacrifice points and threes to some degree. I haven't had any teams where I'm like really good at steals, blocks, the percentages, and also really good at points and rebounds. It's just hard to balance it out like that. So I would say my categories are I punt assists, to a lesser degree, 3-pointers, to a lesser degree points, and then probably to a lesser degree rebounds because a lot of my unicorns aren't great rebounding guys. So hopefully a guy like Miles Turner can get his rebounds up, but for the most part, the guys like Miles Turner, Brook Lopez, who get you 3-pointers and blocks, they're just not the ones that get you a ton of rebounds. So for that reason, that's the order I tend to punt in. And keep in mind, when I'm telling you punt a category, that doesn't mean just load up on the absolute worst players in that category you're punching. Or that doesn't mean that you're okay with it being the very worst. It just means if you see a guy like Marcus Smart, you're not going to say, oh, well, he's going to hurt my field goal percentage. You're like, oh, whatever. If I have to hurt my field goal percentage, I value my steals and assists in this build specifically. Or I value the steal so much that I can take that hit to my field goal percentage. And maybe my advice has made you think that you can't draft players that aren't a perfect fit. And the best way to look at it. So I did a build earlier where I told you about Giannis, right? And I paired him with DeMar DeRozan. Well, DeMar DeRozan shoots a really great free throw percentage, but I paired him with Giannis in a punt free throw build. Yes, it took away from what makes DeMar DeRozan great in helping his free throw percentage, but it also gave me another 20-something point per game scorer who can get me a good amount of rebounds and assists to pair with Giannis. So he still helped me in enough of the categories I like, including really high field goal percentage, that it didn't matter that he had a really high free throw percent. A really high free throw percentage in my punt free throw build. Dino, how about Jaron Jackson? Where would you draft him? Is he worth a stash? He's definitely worth a stash. He has huge upside. And I don't know how much more I could preach to you about my unicorns, but he is an amazing. And the stream is lagging. Let's see if it can catch up. All right, it's back. Battery's dying, so we'll probably be ending soon, but I'll get a few more questions in. Jaron Jackson Jr. can help you with your steals. He can help you with your 3-pointers. He can get you steals. All right, guys. It looks like the stream is starting to mess up, so I may have to do this again some other time. I'm getting an error message. Can you guys, can somebody confirm that you can hear me clearly? Hey, Uncle Drew, let me know when your stream is and let's see how you talk. Because you talking in the chat right now. You talking in the chat and ain't nobody caring what you got to say. So the dude who talk weird got 30 different people listening to him talk while you on here hating on me. Get off my jock, bro. Hop off. I don't need it. It's well covered for. And not only that, hablo español. Dos idiomas. 2 languages, double the words you got, buddy. Douches. Y'all can hear me? All right, good looking out. Y'all can. Well, let's get a few more questions in. See, this is why I probably never make it too big. I get too triggered by haters. I can't shake them off. I like to poop on them. All right, let's see what other questions we got before this thing dies on me. Who do you like the best out of Tatum, Booker, or Embiid? Let's see. Tatum, Booker, and Embiid in that order. I don't know that I would drop Jeremy Grant for Chris Boucher. Jeremy Grant is able to get you blocks. Not as much rebounding, but I don't know that Chris Boucher will get as much rebounding anyways. Isaac Okoro seems to have a lot more opportunity on the Cavaliers. He seems to have a lot more opportunity on the Cavaliers than Danny's going to have on the Wizards. So I would probably go with Isaac Okoro if I had to pick one of the two. My bad, guys. My bad. I got a little frazzled there at the end. But is there any other questions? It looks like we're coming to the end of the stream. I'll take one more question if you got it. Nah. Looks like the stream is ending, maybe. Viewers will... I'll wait a little more, see what happens. If not, I'm going to have to end the stream. And sorry I couldn't get any more questions in. Thank you guys so much that are here for watching. We'll do this again soon. Thank you. Much love. I appreciate... Oh, we got one last question. This is the last one for real. Paul George for Ja, Porzingis, and Christian Wood. Yeah, that's a really good trade offer. But who are you going to drop? Tell me who you're going to drop to take on those 2 other guys. Because that's what matters the most. Because you got, when you do those 1-for-3 trades, on paper, it seems like it's an even trade. But, I mean, it seems like it's a 1-for-3, but you got to drop 2 players to make it possible. So who are your drops? It's okay, I'll wait. I'll wait for you, I2 Wavy. I'll wait, it's fine. I have nothing better to do. Hard, yeah, bro, I would definitely do that trade. Just Ja Morant by himself might have a better season than Paul George. And you're adding Porzingis, who you could put in the IR right away. You got Christian Wood, who has huge upside. If I'm understanding that correctly, that's what the offer is, right? Paul George for Ja, Porzingis, and Christian for all 3 of them. Damn, I feel bad. I feel bad that I freaked out like that. I get in my chest. Man. I'm like Michael Jordan. You know that meme? I felt some type of way about that. Can I suggest an album I like? Yes. I like, let me think of a good one for you. I like Depeche Mode. What is that album? I haven't heard it in forever, but I really like Depeche Mode. I bet you didn't see that one coming. Let me look it up. Let me look up the album name. I used to listen to it in high school all the time. Depeche Mode. I think it's Violator. Yes, it's called Violator by Depeche Mode. If you haven't heard it, you definitely want to go check that out. But all right, y'all, my battery's dying. The stream is dying. Thank you guys so much for coming and having some fun with me. Shout out to my hater as well. Now you ain't going to be on my channel anymore. It's all good. That's what's going to happen to all haters. You know what? I just need to dust these musty, scrubby nobodies away because it is what it is. If you don't got haters, that means you're doing something wrong. LeBron's got haters. Jordan's got haters. I'm not like those guys. I'm a scrub compared to them. But I can't let that get me frazzled. Thank you guys so much for watching. Go check out the Facebook group if you haven't yet. And go join that money league so I can give you that work and take some of your cash. Until my next live stream, which will be soon, this is Barack Lesner. Goodbye.